DreAllDay.com.
This is Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. What we about to talk about, y'all? We about to talk about stories and statistics. What's up, Jazz from Pittsburgh? This is if y'all watching this on YouTube, I'm live streaming this on Periscope. Michael from Virginia, what's going on? You just got out of class. What class you just get out of, Michael? What class were you taking? It's funny because I was looking at this girl's Instagram earlier today. Andre from Brooklyn, Dre from Fort Lauderdale, organic chemistry. All right, you gonna be a chemist? Harlem Joe from Bosnia, Grayson from Richlands, VA, ZZ 30678, W Bill Chick. Okay, you're gonna be a doctor. All right, so there's a reason for you to be in organic chemistry. That's great, and good luck on being a doctor. Here's the thing: I was looking at this girl's Instagram earlier today, and she had a picture. She had took a screenshot of something she was studying for international business. Miles from Poland, what's going on? She was studying international business, and the information that she was looking at, it was like she was studying some course information. I was like, what the fuck is this shit? She's gonna learn how to be a business person by learning this? If that's what they teaching y'all in college, y'all in trouble. All right, that's all I got to say. If you paying your money to go to college and that's what they teaching, what I saw she screenshotted, then y'all in some trouble. All right, go buy some books. All right, that's what you need to do. Go to the store, go to Amazon.com, go to iBooks and buy some books. But anyway, let me get into the point of this. Please, y'all keep hitting the hearts. I love seeing all the different colors. It looks like fall. What did I eat for lunch? I didn't eat lunch yet. It's actually heating up right now. So look. All right, Dre, this is Jomo from Melbourne, Australia. We worldwide here, international, no day off. DB checking in from Chicago, or is he calling me DB? All right, Kobe said he gave up on his hoop dreams. He's still watching my video though, LOL. That's cool. You can get another dream. Dreams is you could dream every night. All right, every night you go to sleep, you can have a new dream. So it ain't got to be basketball. It can be anything. And basketball don't last forever. You still got to live 65% of your life without being a basketball player. So have some value. You deliver value to the world more than one way. All right, so anyway, what I want to talk about today is being a statistic or being a story. Now, all of y'all heard statistics before. Y'all know what statistics are. I'm not talking about the numbers that they teach you in these bullshit college courses. I'm talking about a statistic like a person. Like somebody says 80% of people who do this ends up happening to them. Y'all have heard stuff like that before when I talk about statistics. And every individual, each one of you who's watching this video, by the time your life is over, or probably many times throughout your life, you are going to be either a statistic or you're going to be a story. And what I mean by that is this. A statistics, Emmanuel from Nuremberg, Germany. What's going on? What's up to Germany? Listen, a statistic means this. And while I'm doing this, please y'all keep hitting the hearts. If you like what I'm saying, I make a good point. Even if you don't, hit the hearts as many times as possible, because that's going to get more people to come in here and see what's going on. Swipe to the right, share this on your feed, and let people on Twitter know that Dre All Day is going on. Class is in session right now. Listen, save your tuition money and just come to Periscope, follow Dre All Day. You ain't got to go to summer school. Now listen, people talk about statistics like this statistic is, most of the time when people say statistics, they're talking about somebody who failed. Like they say, 85% of students who don't go to college end up making $1 million less money over their lifetime than somebody who went to college. Or 85, I heard that 90% of people who try this business, they fail. Or 60% of businesses go out of business within their first 3 to 5 years. Or 50% of marriages fail within their first 2 years. Y'all have heard all these stats before, right? Y'all know what I mean by statistic. And understand that every marriage that starts, if we talk about marriage, let's talk about business. That's a better topic. If we talk about businesses, we talk about every business. They say that 60% of businesses go out of business within their first 3 to 5 years. That's actually a true stat. Now, everybody who starts a business got a choice. You're either going to become one of those businesses that go out of business within the first 3 to 5 years, or you're going to become a success story, a story of a business who succeeded. If you're an individual, somebody says, yo, why don't you go start this business? You want to start a business. 95% of people who enter this business never make any money, but 5% of them make it through. They become the stories. So you got to understand which one you want to be. Statistics. 1% of basketball players, actually the stat is 99.7% of people who play basketball in high school never make any money playing basketball. But 0.3% of basketball players, less than 1% of people who play basketball in high school actually make money playing basketball in the professional ranks. So understand that you could be either, and those who do make it, guess what they become? They become stories. They become the people who write books. They become the people who give speaking engagements. They become the people who get brought into schools to motivate the current students. They become the people who get talked about on ESPN, or the people who get talked about on blogs, or they become guests on podcasts, or they become the person that the young people are looking up to, like, yo, he did it, I could do it. Look at his story, I could be the exact same story. So you understand this. Whatever it is that you're doing in life, you are going to be A or B. You're either going to be one of the statistics, the people who failed, the people who came up short, the people who quit, the people who never made any money, the people who never had any success, the people who everybody's like you don't want to end up like that person, the people who, yo, I know somebody who did this and it didn't work out. There she go right there. You could either become the statistic or you could become the story. And the story is, this is how stories happen, y'all. It's very simple. A story is a person who goes through the possibility of being a statistic and they come out on the other side. Because every single one of you is going to go through the exact same thing that all the statistics went through. What do I mean by that is this. Let's just talk about basketball as a simple analogy. Let's talk about business, right? Let's talk about business as an analogy. Let's say you start a business. The statistic is that, let's say 60 to 80% of businesses that start, within 3 to 5 years, they go out of business because they're not making enough money. They can't keep up with their overhead. They just can't pay their employees. They're not generating enough revenue and they go out of business. This is a real stat. I don't know what the actual real number is. It changes year to year, but that's a real stat. 60 to 80% of businesses do not last past 5 years. So when you're running a business, this is where you're at. And if we talk about basketball, I'll use both parallels. I'll use both analogies at the same time, parallel. Basketball players, you're going to go through a series of things, a series of life, of your path in basketball where you could possibly become a statistic. What do I mean by that? When you go try out for the basketball team, you don't make it. You could become a statistic. Because is it true or not true? If you're listening to this, if you're watching this stream right now, respond to me in this question. Is it true or not true that there are people who try out for the basketball team, they have a dream to be a basketball player, they try out for the team one time, don't make it, and they quit basketball? Is that true? Is it true that that happens? There are people who try out and quit basketball after they don't make it one time. Is that true? Absolutely, right? Now answer me this. Is it true? Is it also true that there are people who try out for the basketball team 2 times, don't make it twice, and they quit? Is that true or not true? Absolutely, that's true, right? So y'all know that. So that's the second time. That's the second chance people get of becoming a statistic. Here's the third thing. Are there people who try out for the basketball team in 9th grade, 10th grade, and 11th grade, fail all 3 times, and they quit after the 3rd time? Is that true? Absolutely, that's true. Are there people who try out for the basketball team all 4 years of high school, get cut all 4 times, and they quit basketball? Is that true? Absolutely, it's true. Are there businesses that their first month they have 10 employees, all 10 employees quit, and that person just closes their doors and say, I can't do it anymore? Is that true? Absolutely, it's true. Are there also businesses that all 10 employees quit and the owner of that business says, you know what, they all quit. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I'm the wrong person. Maybe I wasn't paying them enough money. Maybe I didn't put this together the right way. Let me rethink this and hire 10 more employees and figure this out. Is it also true that people do that? Absolutely. Are there basketball players who try out in 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, get cut all 3 years the first day of tryouts, but they come back 12th grade, make it, and they end up becoming the story? Is that true or not true? Well, we know that's true because I'm that story. I'm a player who got cut 3 years straight. I didn't quit. I know players who did. They became statistics. The players who started playing basketball didn't make it, but I became the story. The player who, I got cut 3 years straight, played my senior year, didn't do much, but guess what? I kept going, and eventually I became a story. I got to the point where I could get on here on Periscope, and I could possibly empower some of you to be better in your lives, to be better in your business, to be better in your basketball, because I'm the story that says, hey, this is proof that you can actually make that happen. You understand what I'm saying? So you become a story. Another thing about statistics is this. The statistics, it's hard to say that word. The statistics are all going to happen to all of you. Have all of you been in a situation, if you know anybody, when you look at your parents or whoever, anybody that you know who's married, do people who are married go through tough times? Do people who are married go through situations where they're arguing a lot? They go through situations where you might, for a moment, not want to even talk to your spouse. So you don't even want to see that person. Or you like, yo, I just want to get away from you right now because you're getting on my nerves. Does that happen in relationships? Does it happen with your boyfriend or your girlfriend? Absolutely, that happens all the time. Now, when you go through those things, you got 2 choices. Either A, you can become the statistic. Hey, this relationship was another one of those marriages that didn't last a year and it ended up in divorce. Or B, you can become a story. We went through all these tough times. We had all these challenges. And there's times where I just couldn't stand this person and this person couldn't stand me. But guess what? We worked it out. We made it work. You can do the same thing. What do we call that? A story. It's the exact same thing with basketball. It's the same thing with business. It's the same thing with everything that you're going through. You're going to go through a period where you can become a statistic. That means things are going to be hard. You're going to try something that is not going to work. You're going to put your trust in somebody who's going to betray you. You're going to depend on somebody who's going to quit on you. You're going to offer something to the public and nobody's going to respond. You're going to offer something for sale. Nobody's going to buy it. You're going to put a video out on YouTube. Nobody's going to watch it. You're going to put out your best philosophical tweet and nobody's going to retweet it. These are all things that are going to happen. And you could either A, become a statistic. Understand I'm speaking figuratively, ladies and gentlemen. Understand that at that point, you could A, become a statistic where you quit, where you become another person who quit. You become another person whose business failed in the first 3 to 5 years. You become another basketball player who played in high school and quit before they got to the pros, or just didn't make it to the pros. Let's just put it that way. You become another person who got into a marriage and it failed within the first year. You could be another person who went through this situation that a whole bunch of people know about, but you just didn't make it through to the other side. Now, if you happen to make it through to the other side, you went through all the bullshit, you walked through a dumpster. One of my business partners once said, if you want to get out of this statistic era, you want to get through to the other side and tell a story, it's like walking through a landfill with no shoes on. If you get through that situation, you walk through the landfill with no shoes on, you come out on the other side, you know what you have, you know what you become a story. You become the person that somebody can say, yo, look at Mike. He went through this situation. He had all these setbacks. He had all these failures. He had all these things going wrong. But guess what? He kept going. He made it through to the other side. And now we can use him as an example. We can use Mike as an example of somebody that you all can look to and know that it is possible to make it through all the BS and become a success story. So each one of you has an option. Each one of you has an option, whatever you're doing. You might be going through some tough things right now. I know all the people watching this, at least one of you is going through some tough situations right now. You might have just gotten through some tough situations. You might be about to hit some tough situations. You don't even know that you're about to hit some tough situations. But guess what? At that point, and even if you just got through some, guess what? You're going to go through it again. If you keep going and doing whatever you're doing and you keep trying to get better, you're going to go through it again and again and again and again. It's going to keep happening. Each time you go through that, you have an option. You can become the statistic, the person who failed after 1 year, the person who failed after 3 years, the person who failed after 10 years, the person who failed after 20 years. You can become one of those statistics, or you can become a story. You're the person who went through the exact same thing that all these statistics went through, but guess what? I kept going. I went through all those setbacks in my business, but guess what? I kept going. I went through this situation where I had 30 people working with me in my business, and all 30 of them just stopped working and they just didn't show up, and it was only me. But guess what? I kept going. And now I'm a story, because guess what? If you just had 10 people quit on you, listen, I had 30 people quit on me 5 years ago and I'm still here, which means if you had 10 quit on you and you've been doing it for 5 months, you better keep going, because guess what? I'm proof that you can get through it. So that's what each one of you have a choice to be. You have a choice. Understand it. It is a choice. This is not something that happens to you. It is something that you decide. Anything that happens to you, you have a choice of how you respond to it. All right. Somebody asked me they want to talk to girls. Do I have any tips? That's a separate Periscope. We got to stay on topic here. I will talk about that in the future scope, though. Listen, every single thing that happens to you, ladies and gentlemen, is just an event. There's no positives. There's no negatives. Anything that happens to you does not require you to respond any certain way. You don't have to quit based on anything that happens. I see people who use any little pretext to quit, any little pretext to give up, any little thing that happens, and they use it as an excuse to not do what they're supposed to do, to not stick to their disciplines, to stop doing the things that they had been doing. Everything was going right. People got everything going right for them. All of a sudden, one bad thing happens. Like, yo, I worked on my game. Somebody come to me and say, Dre, I worked on my game every day, all summer. Then I went to basketball tryouts, and the coach cut me, so I'm thinking about quitting basketball. Why? Why are you thinking about quitting basketball? You worked on your game every day for 6 months straight to let one moment, one decision by one person make you quit? Then you wasn't never serious in the first place. You were a statistic. You was born. You knew you was going to be a statistic before you even became one, if you're going to quit based on that. You understand? You can't base your actions, your life, whether you're going to become a statistic or a story, based on what somebody else decides. I don't care if it's the coach. I don't care if it's your parents. I don't care if it's your boyfriend. I don't care if it's your girlfriend. I don't care if it's one of your teachers. I don't care if it's the most successful person in the exact same thing that you're doing. If you play basketball, you work on your game every single day for 6 months straight, and LeBron James pulls up to the basketball court you working at. He says, yo, you a bum. You're never going to make it in basketball. Quit basketball. And then he gets back in his car and drives off. Are you going to quit? Just because he says something, that doesn't mean that you got to quit. You got to keep doing what you decided to do. And understand that every single thing is a decision. It is a choice. Choice, decision is all the same thing. Decision just sounds more hardcore, I guess, more proper. A decision means you're cutting off the possibility of anything else happening. When you make a decision, you cut off the possibility of you becoming a statistic. And each one of you has a choice if you're going to be the statistic or if you're going to be the story. Because everything becomes a story if you keep going. Everything. If you think about anybody you know who's very successful. or somebody who's been doing something a long time, they all got a backstory of some bad things they went through. You name somebody, and then y'all in this scope right now, name somebody who's famous and successful. Somebody who's been around for a while, and whatever they do, athlete, rapper, business person, business owner, anybody you know who's well known, who's famous, that most people have known of, and we'll talk about how that person went through a period where they could have been a statistic, but they became a story. Just name somebody. Somebody name somebody. 50 Cent. All right, 50 Cent was a drug dealer from Southside Queens. He got shot. What has happened to most people with that background? They become statistics, right? Another statistic in jail, another dead black guy. What he did, he became a story. Ben Carson, I don't know his story, so I can't even tell you. Tupac, another guy. Black guy from the inner city. He was a drug dealer. He was with the Black Panthers. He went to jail. He got a rape charge. He got shot. What happens to most of those people? Well, he got shot twice. He became a statistic the second time, but the first time he got shot, what was it? He became a story. He became motivation for a whole lot of people. Do y'all know that there are a lot of people out there who have been through negative stuff, and they see somebody else who actually went through that exact same thing, and they become a story because they can look at that person and say, oh, well, I got shot, and I'm a rapper, and I was a drug dealer. Maybe I could become a stat, but guess what? Tupac did it. 50 Cent did it. I could become that person. Eric Thomas. Somebody said E.T. He is a guy, I don't know, I can't remember E.T.'s story off the top of my head, but I know he's a guy he was homeless. He was a teenage kid, homeless, living in the streets, eating out of trash cans. He talks about all the time. Now, are there a lot of kids who go through that situation? Do we hear about most of them? Do most of them become famous professional speakers? No, most of them become stats. They become people living in halfway houses, or they end up in jails, or they might be the guy on the corner begging for $1. But he decided to not become a statistic. He went through that period. He stopped being a statistic. He decided to become a story. Now, anybody who's going through that situation can say, yo, look at E.T. He did it. Do you understand that? Somebody said me. Yeah, I already told my story. I tried out for the basketball team 3 years straight. Got cut on the first day of tryouts all 3 years. Are there players who quit at that point? Absolutely. I know players who quit at that point. I kept going. I became a story. Now players can look at me and say, yo, I got cut 3 years straight. I barely played in high school. But guess what? Dre Baldwin, he went through that same thing. He actually made something out of it. So, you know what? I can do the same thing. I become a story. And understand this. This is the last point that I'm going to make. Then I got to eat lunch, y'all. Look at this. This is the thing you got to get. Remember this part if you don't remember nothing else I said. There are people in life right now, who are going through something that you've already been through, or something that you're going through right now. They might be going through it at the same time. All right, there are a whole bunch of people out there going through something, and you know what they're thinking right now? They are thinking that there's nobody else in the world who's going through this exact same thing. They're thinking they're the only one this is happening to. They think, their perception is, there's this black cloud hanging over just me, that I'm the only one that all this negative stuff happens to. I'm the only one who's this unlucky. I'm the only one who keeps failing this way. And you know what they're going to start to think? They're going to start to think that maybe I should quit. Maybe I should become a statistic. They're not thinking about being a statistic, but they're just thinking about quitting. They're thinking maybe I should give up on this. Maybe this is just not for me. Maybe it's something else I should be doing in life. Maybe I shouldn't go through this anymore. Maybe this is just not for me. It's just not working out. Maybe I need to walk away. And you know why they're thinking that? The only reason they're thinking they should walk away is because they don't see anybody else going through the same thing. They don't see anybody else who is going through or has gone through the same thing and actually made it to the other side to become a story. They don't have a story to relate to, so they don't have any reason to keep going because they don't see any hope. Understand that most people in life, y'all, are only going to keep going through something if they see somebody else as an example of, yes, you can get through this and become a success. Most people will not keep going through something if they can't see an example of somebody else who went through it and did it successfully. If they can't see somebody else that they can say, all right, he did it, so I can do it. Most people are not going to do something until they see somebody else do it first. That's just how most people are. I know that's not most of y'all, but a lot of people are like that. They got to see somebody else do it before they believe they can do it. Which means, if you think about this, we go back to the ET situation. Are there kids out there in the world who are 15, 16 years old, homeless, walking around the streets of some inner city in America or somewhere in the world? Absolutely there are. But guess what? With ET out there, somebody can grab that person and say, yo, look at this guy. He went through the same thing you went through, and look where he's at now. Now that person, that 15, 16-year-old kid can look at ET and they have hope. And he represents that. It was his responsibility to get through all that and be the example, be the story, so that now the other people going through his same situation, they have hope. Each one of you is going through something. There's somebody else in the world, or you went through something. There's somebody else in the world who's going through it right now, and they don't know if there's anybody else who's ever been through it. It is your job It is your duty. It is your responsibility to get through it and be the story so that other people who go through the same thing you went through can look at you and say, oh, I went through that. I'm going through this right now. He went through it. She went through it. Now I know I can do it. That is your responsibility. That's one of my responsibilities. The reason that I share a lot of this information with you outside of me just going in the gym and doing basketball drills, I love doing that stuff, but I like to share these kind of commentary videos with y'all when I'm talking about this stuff, this mental game, these philosophies, these motivational things, whatever you want to call it, is because a lot of people go through things and they don't know if anybody else is going through it. They don't know if there's anybody else who's made it to this point and they think they might need to quit because they think it's never been this hard for anybody but themselves. But when somebody like myself, somebody like a 50 Cent, somebody like a Will Smith, somebody like an E.T. comes out and says, yo, listen to all the stuff that I went through. I made it through. I'm an example. I'm the story. So anytime you feeling weak, anytime you feel like you might want to quit, anytime you feel like you want to collapse and give up, look at me, because I went through the exact same thing and I made it through. I became a story. You can become a story too. You have a choice to not become a statistic, but all of you have to stand out there as the example. If you want to believe, you got to set an example for other people, which means, listen, I've been through the same thing you're going through and I made it, which means you can do the exact same thing. So we're going to cut this off right here. Any of y'all got a question, you can post it right now and then we're going to end this scope. I saw some comments coming up while I was talking, so if it was a question, you can leave it for me right now. Otherwise, we're going to end this scope. For those of y'all who don't know me, meet me for the first time, my name is Dre Baldwin. My website is called DreAllDay.com. My company is Work on Your Game Enterprises. I am a professional speaker, professional athlete, professional publisher. I published over 4,000 videos on YouTube, 3,000 blog posts on my website. Harlem Joe asked me that I scoped before this one, Harlem Joe. I did my Q&A. Am I going to do another one today? Probably not, because I got some other stuff to do. I got some things to write. I got some events to attend, some people to see, some places to go, some food to eat also. All right, I appreciate all y'all for coming through with the scope. Please keep hitting those hearts. I appreciate y'all. Please keep hitting the hearts. Please swipe to the right. Share this on the feeds, because even people who missed this one, they can watch the replay. Let people know that they need to see this. So we talking about being a story or being a stat. You don't want to be a stat. You got to get through it and become a story. And this video is also going to come out on YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm doing this live on Periscope, then I'm reposting it to YouTube later on. So if y'all are watching this on YouTube, make sure you follow me on Periscope. Download the app on your smartphone, because I know you got one. Follow me, DreAllDay, and turn on the notifications. So if you're watching this right now, turn on the notifications for DreAllDay. So that means every time I go live, you get a notification on your phone that interrupts whatever you're doing. It'll interrupt your text. It'll interrupt the YouTube video you watching. It'll interrupt you scanning Facebook. It'll interrupt you posting a status update to your page. It'll interrupt you checking your email. It'll interrupt you talking to your girl, and it's going to say DreAllDay is live, and you drop everything and you come watch this scope. Work on your game, y'all. DreAllDay.com. Thanks for checking out this video. Make sure you follow all my top content up here. Follow me on all your favorite social networks right over here, and make sure you are subscribed to catch all the new content I put on this channel every single day. Work on your game.